On the day my wife returned from a business trip, I secretly brought my child to the airport to pick her up, wanting to give her a surprise. When we got out of the platform, my wife and a man were talking and laughing. When they came out, the man suddenly hugged my wife's head. I thought my wife should be angry, but she didn't even give me a warning look. Instead, she shyly said to the man, "You are not allowed to do this in the company." I picked up the child and left the airport without looking back. When my wife returned home and saw me in the kitchen, she showed a guilty look on her face and promised, "You have worked hard at home these days. You should eat." After 6 years of marriage, it is difficult for me to hear such words from my wife, because she has always emphasized to me that she is the hardest, strongest and greatest person in the world. She didn't even see the scene that reminded me of the phone call she made the night before. She was out of breath at the time and told me that she was running, and then hung up the phone in a hurry. It seems that she lied to me. Thinking of this, my heart felt blocked, as if a huge rock was pressing down. "I won't ask you to eat. I will go back to the room." But soon my wife sat next to me, and she asked unhappily, "Quillen, we haven't seen each other for a week, and you gave me a cold face when we met." I smiled and asked her back, "Viola, you are joking. With my status in the family, how dare I give you a cold face?" She heard my sarcasm and explained that she was too busy with work on a business trip and had no time to call me and send me a video. In order to cheer me up, she took out the t-shirt she bought for me and asked me to try it on to see if it fit. I took some time out of my busy schedule to buy parent-child outfits for our family of 3. "We didn't wear a couple outfits with you before. Weren't you still unhappy? Are you satisfied this time? Try it on to see if it fits." I understand that she deliberately brought this up to avoid the main point. So I grabbed the t-shirt and threw it out, and this behavior also made her lose her last patience. "Quillen, you are not done with being arrogant, right? Isn't it because I brought Orion with me on a business trip? He is my junior and my employee. He wants to learn some work experience from me. Is there anything wrong with being ambitious at work?" I asked back. "Your junior wants to learn more than just work experience from you, right?" "What do you mean? Quillen, you have a dirty mind. So you think everyone is dirty? People really can't be idle for too long. What am I working so hard for outside? Isn't it our family? What else can you do besides being jealous? If you were a little more motivated, would you let a woman like me show up outside? Do you know what outsiders say about us? They all say that I have a gigolo. You turned a blind eye to it, but I have been embarrassed with you. For 3 years, I have been living under this kind of pressure. Every time we quarrel, you repeat these few sentences over and over again. What? I am incompetent. I am a gigolo. And I am a gigolo. In the past, when it came to this stage, I would take the initiative to apologize. I understand her temper. Since I'm with her, I should be more tolerant. But this time it's not possible, because this time it has nothing to do with temper, but personality betrayal. I finally can't stand the pure relationship between her and her junior, and I looked at her calmly. "In this case, I think you should stop embarrassing yourself and let's get divorced." Speaking of my marriage with Viola, it was purely accidental. A few years ago, I sold masks in the circle of friends. At that time, Viola was still my boss. When she saw it, she asked me to deliver it to her door. As a result, as soon as I delivered the masks to her that day, 120 took away several patients suspected of infectious diseases from their community. She was forced to take me in and fell in love with me over time, so we got together naturally. But my nightmare has just begun. Viola has been divorced once because her ex-husband cheated on her. So after marriage, she has very strict requirements on me. I can't even like or comment on the circle of friends of the opposite sex. Once I helped a female colleague a little and she scolded me all night. At first, I didn't pay much attention to it. I knew she was hooked by her ex-husband, so she became so vigilant. In addition, I had never been in a relationship before, and I naively believed that men should give way to women. Later, she thought my parents were not good at taking care of the children, and that they were too educated and indulged the children. So she asked me to quit my job and become a full-time father. When we got married, I promised that I would meet all her requirements, so I agreed. It was also at this time that her junior Orion returned to China. and my wife took me to have a meal with her. At the dinner table, they talked about their college days and how his wife took care of him and how he loved his wife. Orion also said that it was because his wife was already married. Otherwise, he would definitely pursue her when he returned to China this time. Afterwards, I told my wife seriously, was Orion's words too much? But my wife asked me back, is he too much? Or are you too sensitive? It's just a joke. Is it necessary to make a big deal? In the future, we will see each other when we look down, and we will see each other when we look up. Don't see such nonsense again. I don't see you when I look down, but I see you when I look up. What do you mean? I have decided to recruit Orion into the company. You left to take care of the children. Now the company is officially short of staff, so Orion's return can just fill the vacancy left by your absence. During the following period, my wife and her junior often went out on dates, and she even forgot our wedding anniversary. I went home the next morning, smelling the alcohol on her body, and asked her what she had been doing. She looked at the food on the table and explained, didn't Orion go back to China? Her foreign girlfriend broke up with her, and I comforted him, so I drank some wine with him. What day was it yesterday? You prepared so many delicious foods. You even forgot our wedding anniversary just to comfort him. My wife was stunned, but she said thankfully, fortunately, I forgot about this. Otherwise, Orion's breakup happened to coincide with our wedding anniversary. Wouldn't he be more miserable? I was furious at the time, and I was about to call Orion and scold him, but my wife stopped me, and she also scolded me for being narrow-minded and a little man who could not accomplish anything big. I said, Viola, you are becoming more and more like your ex-husband now. Quillen, what do you mean by mentioning my ex-husband? You looked down on me as a divorced woman from the beginning, right? I know you despise me. I won't drag you down. I can divorce you. Facing her moral kidnapping, I can only comfort her. I didn't mean that. And then apologize to her, silently endure, and endure until this time she was on a business trip with Orion. I was really fed up with such a day. Who loves who? The mother is gone. I'm only 28 years old, and I already have white hair. But the next morning, Viola knocked on my door, and to my surprise, she changed her previous high-handedness of a strong woman. She said to me, husband, I was wrong yesterday. In the past, every time we quarreled, she would ask for a divorce, and then I apologized. Every time at this time, she would think that I was really wrong. But after a night of ideological struggle, I know what I want now. No, Viola, you are good. I am wrong. In fact, we shouldn't have been together from the beginning. Now, while we are still young, we should get divorced quickly so that no one will delay the other. Hearing what I said, my wife was really anxious. She pulled me and asked, Quillen, I have already apologized to you. What else do you want? This is her. She has to be superior even to apologize. Besides, if she apologizes, do I have to accept it? I said, I want a divorce. She held my hand tightly and was a little impatient. Quillen, if we divorce, what will happen to the child? I asked her back. When Orion held you, did you think about what to do with the child? Hearing what I said, Viola's expression changed drastically, and the muscles on her face trembled irregularly. She finally realized why I asked for a divorce from her. Quillen, did you go to the airport yesterday? I originally wanted to hold the child to give you a surprise, but I didn't expect it to be a shock to me. You and her are quite a match. If I delay any longer, it will be me who is immature. The calmer I am, the more scared Viola seems. She explained with a trembling voice, Quillen, listen to me. Orion has been abroad for several years. His mind may be a little more open. It really is nothing to him. Next time he does this, I will stop him. No need. You two just went to bed and played poker. It has nothing to do with me. You have time today. Let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to make an appointment. Every word I said was permeated with the idea of divorcing her. She also realized my determination. She walked out in a panic and said again, Quillen, you are just jealous now. When you calm down, you will not want to divorce me. I just came back from a business trip, and there are still a lot of things in the company, so I don't have time to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with you. I knew she was stalling for time on purpose. She thought that everything would be the same as before if she delayed until I calmed down and figured it out myself. But she didn't understand. From the moment I saw her face Orion's embrace without resistance, my heart had died. I first sent the child to my parents' house and asked them to take care of him for a few days. The old people saw at a glance that something had happened between Viola and me and asked about it. I didn't hide the explanation and said I was going to divorce Viola. My parents also tried to persuade me at first, but they also knew how strong and overbearing their wife was. Faced with my insistence, they stopped talking, considering that in the past few years, all the food and daily necessities in the family were bought with the money earned by Viola. So I was ready to leave the house with nothing. Then I should go out and find a job next. Fortunately, I also graduated from a prestigious university, and I was only idle at home for a year. So it only took me one day from finding a job to starting work. I went home to pack my luggage in the evening. When I was about to leave with 3 suitcases, I happened to meet Viola coming down the elevator, and Orion was with her. "Quillen, are you too childish? It's just a quarrel. Why did you run away from home? Orion is here. I'll let her explain to you." Viola quickly gave Orion a look. Orion said, "Brother-in-law, you misunderstood. Hugging and kissing are a kind of etiquette in foreign countries. You have never been abroad. Do you understand? Senior sister cares about you very much. She seemed absent-minded all day in the company today. If I wanted to have something with senior sister, I would have done it a long time ago. How could it be your turn? Senior sister has taken care of me like a brother in the past few years. We have a good relationship. That's why I hugged her." After Orion explained, Viola still looked at me with a proud face. "Kimo, both of us are here. You should believe it now, right?" I was quite surprised. I don't know if Viola is really stupid or pretending to be stupid. She really thinks stupidly. Is Orion here to help us make peace? I thought my heart was calm, but facing Orion's provocation, I still couldn't help but beat him. But I have to consider the reality. My child has lost her mother, and I can't let her lose her father again. I suppressed my anger, said nothing, and walked around the 2 people. As a result, Orion suddenly grabbed my hand from behind. If it weren't for his appearance, I think my family would not have broken up. So I shook his hand away viciously. As a result, he fell to the ground as if he was hit hard by me. Viola quickly held him up and asked me loudly, "Quillen, are you crazy? You actually hit Orion. Aren't you ungrateful?" Apologize to him quickly. Without waiting for me to speak, Orion took Viola's hand in turn, said, "Senior sister, don't blame your brother-in-law. He was also angry, and it was all my fault. If I hadn't hugged you at that time, you would have been fine. Orion, don't say anything. You can come to explain for me. I am already very grateful to you. Besides, this matter can't be blamed on you. If he hadn't been idle, he wouldn't have seen the child to the airport, and such a big thing wouldn't have happened." I sneered and asked, "I understand. This matter is my fault." Viola said angrily, "Isn't it? We have already divided the work. I am responsible for the outside and you are responsible for the inside. You just need to take care of this little piece of land at home. What surprises are there for me? Don't you think this is childish?" "Okay, Quillen, let's not talk about that first. You apologized to Orion first." I didn't say anything. Orion said to me again, "Brother-in-law, you don't need to apologize. Now you have beaten him, and you should be angry now, right? Don't make trouble with the senior sister. Go home quickly." The 2 of them sang the same tune and quietly turned me from the plaintiff to the defendant. For the first time, I felt disgusted with people from a psychological to a physical point of view. I didn't want to explain, nor did I want to look at them anymore. I carried my luggage and left resolutely. Viola said, "Quillen, you beat Orion in front of me today, which really made me lose face. We are both wrong in this matter. You apologize to Orion and let it go. I have said this much. It is up to you to decide whether to do it or not." After leaving Viola's house, she sent me several text messages in a row. Fortunately, she did not soften her tone, because the tougher her attitude, the more sober I became. Otherwise, I was really worried that I would change my mind when the child cried for his mother at night. Later, I thought that the appearance of Orion might not be a bad thing for me, because only after experiencing the pain of labor can I be reborn. I have not contacted Viola again, but she could also think that I must have taken the child back to my parents' home. A few days later, she came to my parents' house to find me. From complaining to my parents to threatening my parents, your family conditions. You also know that Quillen wants to buy a house and a car in this city by himself. It will take at least 30 years of hard work. So you should persuade her to let her go back with me. Viola, don't let my parents get involved in our affairs. They are not only your parents, but also my parents-in-law. Of course, they should get involved in our affairs. If you don't come back with me, I will lie here. Viola said to me fearlessly. She thought I had no choice. She asked my parents to persuade me, and I can also ask her parents to persuade her. Because when we got married, her parents looked down on me. I believed that I was a gigolo, especially in the past year or so. I have been idle at home. They looked down on me even more. They even persuaded Viola to divorce me behind my back, and I inadvertently heard the content of their conversation. So when I called them and said that Viola was staying at my house and begged me not to divorce me, they were furious on the spot, and Viola's father scolded loudly in the phone. Quillen, if it weren't for my daughter, could you live like this now? You have no ability and no capital, and my daughter is stupid. How could she like you? My daughter is making money outside. You are a lazy gigolo, and you dare to ask for a divorce from my daughter. Remember that my daughter dumped you. Give the phone to Viola. Viola's parents seemed to have been stepped on by me. Then they scolded Viola again, and finally she had no choice but to leave our house. After she left, my parents also persuaded me that Viola had never bowed her head when we quarreled before, and this time she must really know that she was wrong, and wanted me to give her another chance for the sake of the child. To be honest, I was in a trance, because I really thought that my wife would accept it very calmly after hearing that I proposed a divorce. In this way, no one would care about her and Orion in the future. So after a few days, I went back to get something in the name of seeing how she was doing recently. After all, we lived together for 5 years. It is impossible to say that there are no happy memories during this time. Returning to this house where I have lived for 5 years, I was also full of emotion. I sat on the sofa and thought for a long time whether I should wait for her to come home and have a good chat with her. But soon I gave up this naive idea. In the bathroom, I saw 2 toothbrushes. There is no greater sorrow than the death of the heart and the death of a person. I saw 2 toothbrushes in the bathroom, which broke my last fantasy. In the next few days, I focused on work. During this period, Viola also contacted me many times, but I ignored them all. But this circle is so small, and soon Viola heard about my work in the new company. When I was proofreading documents that day, my colleague told me that a beautiful woman came to see me at the door. Sure enough, it was my wife. After so many days of Cold War, I thought she had also thought it through and agreed to divorce me, but unexpectedly, as soon as we met, she threw herself into my arms. Her body was still so soft, but her face was very ugly, and the dark circles under her eyes were particularly obvious. But I would no longer think that she didn't sleep well because of me. The 2 toothbrushes explained everything. Husband, please don't make trouble anymore, okay? Come back with me. I can't eat or sleep without you these days. I always forget to pick up the express delivery, and I can't even pay the water and electricity bills. I miss you and my son. As long as you come back, we can discuss other things.